What's up, everybody? I'm here today with Andrew Bouffard. He is the marketing and eMLS coordinator with the New England Revolution. He's been in sports for about a decade, maybe a decade. How long have you been? When was your first sports experience?
Probably 6 years, 6 or 7
Six
years
years.
now. Yeah,
Okay, so I
yeah,
overshot it a little bit.
just
Um,
a little bit. I'm not that old.
Yeah, yeah, sure, sure. Yeah, I'd love to kind of get your background. I know you've worked with the Red Sox. You worked with a soccer club in London for a while, which is
Yeah,
awesome. And I just love to kind of hear from the start your story, how you got into sports. Were you always into it? Kind of tell me
sure.
about your path so far and how you got here.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So I grew up in a small town in New Hampshire called Greenland, giving it a shout out. But it's about an hour north of Boston. So I was pretty ingrained in the Boston sports culture. As I'm sure you're aware, we've had a really good past 2 decades, and basically
Oh
all
yeah,
of our sports have been very fortunate to see every single team that I support basically win a championship multiple times over, which has been really, really cool. That's basically why I got interested in sports and I wanted to work in sports for my career. I knew early on that I wasn't going to be playing sports for my career. I think every young boy kind of hopes and dreams that one day they'll be a professional baseball player, basketball, football,
yeah,
whatever, and I knew that that wasn't going to happen. So I tried to get myself as close to sports as possible, not being on the field. So I went to Providence College in Rhode Island, and I graduated with a degree in marketing.
yeah,
It's kind of always something that I've been interested in. I love big brands and how they work with each other and partnerships, and especially, you go to any major sporting stadium and all you see is brand advertisements and
yep,
brand sponsored activations, and that always kind of fascinated me. But my first kind of taste of working in sports was working for the sports marketing office at Providence, and I got to work with the men's and women's basketball and hockey team. And I really just wanted to go to the games for free, which I was able to do, which
there
was
you
nice,
go.
but they paid me as well. But,
Yeah,
I helped plan different activations on the court, whether that was a half court shot or, an ice puck challenge or that stuff. And I really enjoyed it. And that was something really easy for me to do and kind of get ingrained with that whole sport culture and how to start a career in sports. But moving on to England, I studied abroad in London for a semester in 2015,
that's so
and
fun.
yeah, it was an amazing experience. It was just such a cool opportunity. But I was with Boston University, their study abroad program, and part of that was everybody has an internship. So it was a really good opportunity for me to actually get some real work experience, also take classes over there, and kind of get the full run the gamut on everything, and
Yeah,
embrace myself in culture, in European culture. And so I got placed with Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, and that was a first for the program. They never had anyone get in with a Premier League team. So I was really proud to be a part of that. But it was just an awesome opportunity. I worked at White Hart Lane before it got knocked down for the stadium. But
mm-hmm.
I worked for their foundation and learned a little bit about how the Brits do business, and the way different things go. And I just learned a lot, and I still try and keep in touch with those guys, and I'm still a huge Tottenham Hotspur fan
Yeah.
to this day. While I can luckily watch all the games in America, so that was a really great opportunity. Um, but after that, I graduated pretty quickly after that. And I actually took a job with the grounds crew with the Boston Red Sox, and I had no field maintenance experience whatsoever. So it was really a shot in the dark for me, but I just wanted to get my foot in the door.
Yeah,
And
I
luckily,
love
I
it.
was able to do that. Yeah, it was a shock for me. Some of these people this is what they do, this is their life, and they had field maintenance degrees from school, or they had been doing this forever, and I had none. So I think they were kind of skeptical of me really paying off. I paid my dues, and I got the job done. We made it to the playoffs that year, and that was a really exciting experience. But Obviously, that was not what I wanted to do, but it did work out for me. So I got promoted into the front office, working with the partnerships team, and that was probably the proudest moment of my life so far, is being able to work my way up and really say that I was able to start from the ground up and work my way up. I was there for a season. We made the playoffs as well. That was a season-long placement. So I moved on, and from there I made it to the New England Revolution, where I am now at Gillette Stadium, working in marketing, working in esports, and I'm really enjoying myself there. And the team's about to kick off in the playoffs on Friday, so we're really excited for that as well.
Yeah. Wow, that's a great story. Good luck in the playoffs, by the way. Um,
Yeah,
but
thanks.
yeah, congratulations on all the success. That is, I mean, that's something to be so proud of.
Yeah,
I love hearing your stories. I had a big goofy grin on my face when you were talking about like you took your shot and like started working with the Red Sox, just because I love stories like that where someone comes at something and they just take their shot and then they do it and they prove themselves. It's like,
yeah. I
oh
literally
yeah,
applied for that job, out of the blue, and I got a call from one of the guys that works there, and uh, yeah, I didn't even put two and two together because I just like totally forgot that I had applied for that job. And then,
yeah.
all of a sudden they're like, yeah, you want to come in for an interview? I'm like, yeah, sure, let's do it. But it worked out for me.
Wow. That's wild. I love that. I love that. Love that. Okay.
Yeah.
And so one thing before we move on, you talked about, you went over to England. Um, is there any big key difference that you noticed with anything they did over there? Maybe they like, I don't know, maybe their lunches were longer, or maybe they were a little more straight with business. Was there any big key things that really kind of took you and you're like, oh my gosh, this is new?
Yeah, I would definitely say that they're much more traditional in the ways that they do business. I remember um, so a little while after I left, Tottenham Hotspur reached an agreement with the NFL to host the England's NFL games when they go over to London.
That's
So they were
cool.
kind of in talks, and they were talking to me about how Americans love everything big, and they love fire and flames, and big explosions and everything like that. And Britain's not really like that. They're kind of more traditional and prim and proper and
Yeah.
everything like that. And but it was just a really cool experience. Getting to go work with other people that from different cultures, and getting a little bit out of my comfort zone. The way we do business and the way they do business is totally different. I mean, obviously, the end goal, you want to create experiences for your fans and make money, and at the same time. But yeah, it was, like I said, it was just a really cool, exciting opportunity that I'll never forget.
That's awesome. Yeah. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
fantastic. Okay, and so then you came over to the New England Revolution. You started
Right.
off just in marketing, or were you already doing the eMLS stuff?
Yeah, I started out in marketing. Someone left from our marketing team that was kind of handling it, but it got put on my plate, and I'm very lucky that it did, because it's probably one of my favorite aspects of the job so far.
That's awesome. So let me ask: did you grow up like playing video games, and in specific, like was FIFA a big thing you did as a kid?
I did grow up playing video games. I think my first console was a PlayStation 2. I've always
Heck
been a,
yeah.
a Sony guy, so I had a PS2. I had the PlayStation Portable PSP, and then I moved up to a PS3, which I still have to this day. It's still hooked up to my TV.
Awesome.
But I started out with FIFA. I would really say that as I got older in high school, before I graduated high school, I got into FIFA. Before that, it was NBA, Madden was a big one,
Yeah.
Call of Duty, a lot of car racing games like Need for Speed and that stuff. But I think right around the time, it's probably 2010 World Cup in South Africa, I kind of really got into soccer, and
Waka Waka.
really got into, yeah, Waka Waka. So it was I think FIFA 2011 was my first FIFA game, and then I got every FIFA game after that. And especially once I got back from England and was following Tottenham Hotspur, my love for soccer really grew and became what it is today.
That's awesome. Okay, so yeah, it's you're very deep rooted with FIFA. So this must have coming into eMLS must have been like putting on a glove to you.
Yeah,
So
yeah, it was.
yeah, absolutely. And so when you kind of came on into this, um, you were familiar with esports. Did you kind of know anything about the competitive world with video games, or was it just you had just maybe played with your friends and that's all you knew about the space? What was your
Yeah,
introduction with
it
esports?
was it was primarily playing with my friends, playing
Yeah,
online a little bit. I want to say my first taste of like true esports. I think ESPN used to do like a Madden TV show where they would have two guys face off. It was nothing. It was pretty small, I think, compared to what we think of esports nowadays. But
sure.
I kind of used to watch that sometimes. But I think my generation, it was definitely like people of my age really kind of grew up with the start of esports. I know it's definitely a younger demographic than when it started
Hmm.
now, but once I got into college, it kind of became like a thing where you could make a ton of money by playing video games and
Yeah,
entering into tournaments. Once I eMLS handed down to me, I kind of knew what it was. I knew that there were always all these different video game tournaments around the world you could play, but I didn't know the uh, enormity of it, I guess. So once I got
sure.
into eMLS and I started researching FIFA and the biz behind it, but then so traditional video games like League of Legends, World of Warcraft, Fortnite, all of that, and getting into all of it, it kind of really helped me understand how big this is and that it's not going anywhere. It's only going to grow.
Yeah, yeah, that's amazing. And so, uh, so you've worked in that sporting world and you've also come over into the gaming side of things. So something that I'm always curious about with me, I mean, I love esports. I love the idea that you can play video games in tournaments. I would have killed for that as a kid. And
Yeah.
so something I'm always watching out for is how can we make sure we don't have any more cautionary tales? Because in the early 2000s, there's many tales of esports, like maybe companies coming in and just doing things kind of wrong and then leaving kind of a bad impression. So my question to you would be, um, it, how can we emulate the success of sports? What can sports teach the gaming world, and then vice versa? Is there anything that you've seen gaming do that you think could start to be implemented in sports?
Yeah, that's a really great question. I think what esports can learn from sports is kind of treating it like a real sporting event, and we definitely see that now with these big productions. But
Yeah,
I think people might hear esports and they say, oh, that's not real. It's just a bunch of kids
yeah,
playing video games. Like, what's the point? Or why am I going to tune
sure,
in? So I think creating that atmosphere of like this is real. There's a lot of money at stake. There's a lot of skill that goes into this. These are true, quote unquote athletes, if you
yeah,
will. It's not the same as someone out on the field or on the court, but they are true athletes and they perfect their craft every single day. Um, but showing real time statistics and creating production value that can show people that these are real sports and vice versa. I think what esports can teach traditional sports is the engagement piece.
yeah,
You look on Twitch or YouTube and people are streaming. There's a real time chat. People can go into the chat and ask the streamer questions and talk to other people, or in the stream they've got microphones on and you can talk to them and everything like that. So we've seen this a little bit from firsthand with baseball. In spring training games, they sometimes mic up the players in the outfield and they kind of have an interview with them
yeah,
while the game's going on. So I think that engagement piece is super super important for traditional sports, and as technology grows and how everything is evolving, learning to see different opportunities of how everyone get closer and closer to the game that they are most commonly watched on TV or
yeah.
at the stadium, and how they can get closer and closer to their favorite players.
Yeah, for sure. I think you're spot on with that. I think it's huge, and we're starting to see it like Thursday night football streaming on Twitch, and you'll have streamers
Yeah,
kind of hosting that, and they're just kind of commentating over it. And so I think it'll be cool to see both how they integrate it to add gaming to sports, but also yeah how they do bring in that engagement into their just into the real life activations that they might be doing at stadiums when everything returns to normal. Um,
Yeah, absolutely.
so I'd love to hear about your time with like the Revolution. Could you tell me a bit about like what the esports side of that has looked like over there so far, and maybe what initiatives have gone on? Because I know some teams, I'm really interested to hear the strategy. Some teams I know are like, let's go for content, or maybe there's a team that maybe is like, let's do tournaments, or maybe there's a team that just they want to just sign the best player. What has your
Mhm.
strategy kind of looked like, and like what initiatives do you think you have happened so far that you've maybe seen a lot of success with, or maybe not, or maybe have got you excited?
Yeah, I definitely think that we've focused more on the content side of things. Our player John Oliveira is a really great professional, and we want him to do the best that he's able to do in the tournaments. His
Yeah,
performance hasn't always been the best at times, but anything can happen on any given day, and we
sure.
stand by him. But we've definitely focused more on the content side of things. I think when I took over eMLS for the Revs in 2018, that was the inaugural season, so not much had happened. We didn't really know where it was going or big it would be. So they did one event in Boston, and that was that. And we didn't do much with our player for another 6 months after that. But with the addition of two more eMLS events, with the League Series 1 and 2 around the country,
Yeah,
we really thought that this was a great opportunity to put up some compelling content, not only for John's social media channels, but also for our main channels. It's just another way for our fans to engage with our brand, basically. But
sure.
the content pieces that we've really enjoyed, we've had a lot of different pieces of John playing with our first team players, which do really well, and our club ambassador Charlie Davies. We have a lot of first team players that are really interested in FIFA too, and they are more than happy to do these with our player and learn something from him, and that they
Yeah,
can take back and when they bring their consoles on the road when they're traveling. Our players really like to play video games, and we're very fortunate that they are willing to do that, and John is really capable of holding his own when playing these guys. We did our first FIFA tournament online this past summer,
mm-hmm.
right before we did the MLS's back tournament in Orlando, which was a really great opportunity. We built, with help from a couple companies, we built a virtual studio as well. And we had our broadcast team actually do play-by-play for the quarterfinals, semifinals, and finals
That's
of
awesome.
this entire tournament. And we had some really great prizes that we gave away, and we put in a sponsor for this as a make good while we weren't having any home games.
Yeah,
So that was a really great opportunity to have our fans engage and also to do a make good for our sponsor. But we a lot of this stuff is we're still learning, to be
yeah,
honest. Esports is still fresh, it's still new, and we're still looking to see what makes sense and how we can integrate John into our first team content. The best case scenario is that John becomes a household name for all of our fans, and they really enjoy the content that he puts out, and the fact that he's competing wearing the Revolution name.
yeah. I love that. I was reminded of, as you're saying, bringing them to be the household names. I was reminded of in the early 2000s, with Asia. Asia's been so ahead in the whole gaming wave. But I remember hearing a story where it was it Korea or China? I want to say it was China to hype up their World Cup team. They brought out some StarCraft 2 players that they were fans of. They brought out video game players to hype up the sports players, and I'll never
Yeah.
like. I just think that's so wild to imagine. Like, I don't know. When I think about like, that's just crazy. And so it sounds like that would just be kind of where you'd like to get John.
Yeah, I think we've definitely got a ways to go,
Yeah,
but it really starts with creating these types of content that people like to enjoy. I mean, we could
sure.
we have like an eMLS portion of our website where it's a nonstop shop, so to speak, for everything eMLS and everything FIFA and John Oliveira. But we can do all that stuff, and it's important that people pay attention. I guess it would be
Yeah.
really telling if we're putting this stuff out and we're just like, hey, this stuff isn't doing not getting any impressions. There's no real value to this, and that would be an opportunity for us to step back and reevaluate things. But that's not the case.
Yeah.
Our for on his impression numbers are off the charts, and
Yeah.
the numbers speak for themselves.
Sure.
And it's a really good opportunity for us to look at what we're doing. We're doing something right, and we're really excited to see where this is going to take us.
That's exciting. So I don't know if you can talk about
Yeah.
it, but if you can, I'd love to hear, like, is there anything in 2021 that we should be looking out for with the New England Revolution? Do you have anything on the horizon that we should know about?
Yeah, I can't talk about too much just yet, but we're really excited to hopefully do another FIFA tournament. The main goal was to have something on site. Obviously, the pandemic kind of threw that away, but we
Yeah.
we kind of you know dipped our toes in the water, so to speak, with this online tournament and got a taste of what what this would be like and how to put it on, and we have some great partners in Helix Esports at Gillette Stadium that helped us put this on. But
Yeah.
I think the main goal would be to do something in person and live and create an experience before a home match. Have people come out for the game, have them come a little bit early to watch the FIFA tournament and create a little bit of there's a lot of people that are really excited to play video games and play FIFA, and I think that competitive edge is it just really takes it to the next level. FIFA is always going to be there for everyone to play with their friends or play online or just for fun, and that's cool and fine. But that competitive edge, it really brings another level of excitement that it adds another level to our game day experience. And
Yeah.
that's kind of what it's all about for us is making sure that we create these experiences for our fans so they come back to Gillette Stadium for another home match, and it's not just a one-off thing for them, that they keep going back and they know that we're going to keep putting stuff on them that's exciting.
Yeah. That's awesome. It sounds very proactive, which I love to hear from like a sports club that's like just kind of diving into it. I know there are some sports teams that are still not quite sure about the whole esports thing, but it's coming, and y'all know that, and that's exciting because
Yes.
that means that y'all can have some awesome stuff happen. I really liked what you were saying about like coming early for the FIFA match. Oh, that would be
Hmm.
awesome.
Yeah.
So wrapping it all up, if there's someone out there and they're listening and they're like, "Wow, this guy's doing awesome stuff. I want to. How can I do what Andrew's doing?"
Yeah.
Do you have any lessons, any words of advice, any maybe it's a mistake you've made? Is there anything you would tell someone if they came up to you and were like, "How can I do what you're doing?"
Yeah. Oh, Stephen A. Smith actually has a really great quote that I try to live by, and it's do what you have to do so you can do what you want to do. And I go back to that grounds crew experience for me, and it was really tough at the start
Yeah.
because it's really hard work and hot summer days, and there's no experience like taking the putting the top on a baseball field and taking it off to try and avoid the rain. It's a terrible experience overall, but it just like I said, doing what you got to do so you can do what you want to do, and getting your foot in the door and just working really really hard to just get to where you want to be. And I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but
Sure.
I put in the work, and luckily it paid off for me.
Yeah.
And I guarantee that if someone wants in the same position as I am, or even higher, if you put in the time, you put in the effort, that you can get there.
Yeah, I love that. And I don't think it's like tooting your own horn at all. It's like, I mean, you've had great success, and um, it's like one of the things that I often think about is like, I think if I mean like my biggest thing that I would say is like a lot of people put in a shot. They'll like throw out a shot, and like it might not succeed right away, but it's like if you
Hmm.
keep shooting, like you're gonna score. Like it'll happen.
Yeah,
It's persistence. But
absolutely.
I love that quote you said. So I'm going to be thinking about that in the coming days. What you have to
Yeah,
do so you can do what you want to do. I love that.
absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Andrew, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Any final shout outs? You want to shout out mom here or anything?
Sure, let's give mom a shout out. No, I think it's really cool that you're doing this, and
Yeah.
I definitely look forward to seeing some of your other episodes.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Thanks for coming on, and thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll see you next time.